The devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Doc Mark and Chorus, the little mummy, here to bring you another episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't. Welcome back, Chorus. Another week of Macabre Casting. To all you regular monster kids who tune in each week, hello. Hope you had a great weekend. To those of you out there who are new, welcome. This is Macabre Cast.
All things horror and spooky.
And without further ado, let's get to horror news.
Life's river shall rise. She said.
Crystal Lake, the long-awaited series about Jason and Mommy at Camp Crystal Lake, will be premiering on Peacock June 13th, 2025. Really waiting on this one. I hope they don't mess that up. Universal Monsters and Care Bears have joined forces. For those of you still purchasing Care Bears, now you can get them looking like all the old classic Universal monsters. And Jennifer Tilly responds to the future of the series of Chucky. She says it hasn't been canceled, but nor has it been renewed. Well, that cleared a lot up, Jen. Thanks. And welcome Jason Universe. This new Friday the 13th activations will span a wide range of platforms, from games, immersive experiences, and merchandise, and more to be announced throughout 2024. So I hope you're listening, Horror Chat Matt. And just 1 week after launching a collection of Stranger Things-themed candles, Bath & Body Works is kicking off Halloween early with their Halloween collection. The scent candles are as follows: Candy Apple Cauldron, Vampire Blood, Ghoul Friend, Everlasting Magic, Wicked Vanilla Woods, and Pumpkin Carving. I swear they work vanilla into everything. And that's it for horror news.
She said.
And Brownie agrees. Brownie, the corpse-sniffing dog.
Nice dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Hey, Doc Mark and Little Karis, Hard Chat Matt checking in. Just finished watching the latest episode, and Mark, as always, you knocked it out of the park. You bet your bottom dollar that when I'm in Salem, Mass, I am definitely hitting up Count Orlok's Wax Museum. Definitely a stop every single time I'm there. Like you said, lots of cool mannequins, masks and props, and all sorts of good swag in the lobby area that you can check out. Always a must stop when I'm in Salem. Scary Larry, I have to admit, I'm a little bit jealous. Karish, you called it that you got to meet and interact with Felissa Rose. Obviously, Sleepaway Camp is one of my favorite early 80s horror slashers that I can't get enough of, and I'm always trying to work Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th into any conversation when it comes to horror. There's just something about that early 80s POV, who's the killer, slasher in the woods that I really love and look back fondly on. Also, it's nice to hear you confirm, which I've heard from multiple people, that Felissa is generally a nice person and really appreciates all her fans and doesn't just rush people through the lines and tries to have a nice interaction with them. Monster Kids, I do have a major confession to make. Growing up a horror fan, obviously, that's why we're here, and comic book and wrestling fan, you would think that I would have attended several conventions and expos, but I have never in my life attended any. Looking back on it now, I do kind of wish that I had been going to them all along, as Be pretty cool to have some pictures with some of my favorite horror icons or stars from my horror wall that I have down in my room in the basement. I'm not a big autograph fan, but I just think to have those pictures, and a lot of the actors who have played Jason, unfortunately, have passed. So I definitely missed the boat with that. But it's never too late. I should definitely keep my eyes open for any upcoming conventions that are in the area. That one in Nashua, I wish I had known about it. It's right up the street, so I definitely missed the boat on that one. Anyways, Dark Mark, keep doing the great stuff that you do. Bring all the macabre to your legions of horror kids, and we look forward to each and every episode.
September 21st and 22nd in Hartford, Connecticut is the Connecticut Horror Fest. There you go, Horror Chat.
We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
Don't you wish you were as cool as Horror Chat Matt, Scary Larry, Grim Kim, Brownie, Once in a Blue Moon, Whitney or Brittany? Well, you can be. Just send your voice message to me, Dark Mark, at Macabre Theater on Facebook.
I see you're moving away from the 70s a little bit this week, and you're going to talk about an 80s movie.
Well, I'm not moving all that far away. It's from 1981. It's Fear No Evil, directed by Frank LaLeggia.
School has them. The punkers. The lovers. The clowns.
Hey, look, everybody, I got a zero.
Every school has its reject.
You were 54 seconds late, kid. 50 sit-ups and 50 push-ups.
The student nobody really knows. Classmate with no real friends. Fear no evil. For years, he's waited for his moment. And now, it's upon us. For years, he's endured their cruelty. He's going to pay them back. One by one. Fear no evil.
I am an antichrist.
The new wave of terror.
It's about a high school student named Andrew, who isn't just your run-of-the-mill high school nerd. He's the Antichrist, and he's here to raise an army of evil to control the world. Not before, however, Mikhail, Gabrielle, and Raphael, three angels living in human form, team up to stop him. This is bizarre even for the early 80s. Even though this movie is a trope within itself, the nerdy Antichrist getting revenge on his high school bullies, I've always enjoyed this film. I will add that the best thing about this film is its soundtrack, the Ramones, Talking Heads, Sex Pistols, and so on. And hey, watch out for that male shower scene after gym class. For an early 80s film, it has a lot of homosexual overtone that you usually didn't see in a film at that time.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I mean, it's fine if that's who you are.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have many gay friends.
My father's gay.
This is all the satanic panic at its finest. Check this one out and let me know what you think.
Didn't you tell me before you saw that in the movie theater when it came out in 1981?
Yes, I did.
You were 12. How did you even get in to see that?
Well, my uncle was staying with us at the time, and he took me. I got to see a lot of movies I wouldn't have been able to see. Conan the Barbarian was another, but yes, I saw Fear No Evil in the theater in 1981.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Hello, Dark Mark. Hello, little Karis. It's Grim Kim checking in.
Hi, Grim.
Hi, Grim. Let's try to watch the language, shall we?
Sorry I was MIA last week. Just sometimes things get in the way. Like memes that come back to haunt you 5 years later. Worth it. Okay. I saw Longlegs, and I had a request to drop a little review. I'm going to call it more like thoughts and factoids. I need to rewatch. Let me just say that one right out loud because it was like an acid trip. and they wanted it that way, and I agree that they succeeded in that. I read some interesting factoids, but let me just say, I enjoyed the story. I can see why it's, the reference to Silence of the Lambs. It's more of a supernatural thriller, I would call it, with that whole FBI thread. There were certain components of it that they really didn't need to try to tie in, as far as Maika Miller, the FBI agent's intuitive skills. Certain things they could have dropped and still gotten the storyline across, I feel, just to condense and maybe refocus their efforts on these really nice cinematic moments of horror and terror. The story itself, yeah, it was a very interesting story. By the time you see Alicia Witt playing the mother, she's probably only 15 years older than the other actor. She did an awesome job with what they gave her. There was just a lot of components to the movie. Let me just say a couple things about Dale Ferdinand Cobble, which is Nick Cage's character. He had said he had pulled a lot of reference from his mother as far as mannerisms, inflections, the way he moved certain phrases. And it's like an homage to your mother, but at the same time, I was going to draw my mother for this, creepy-ass personality. But anyway, he has said that this will be his one and only serial killer movie, because he doesn't care to be, play a character that's just killing people like that, which I found interesting. When I was watching the interview of him talking, it was just like an E.T. interview. He is like a caricature of himself as he's talking, and it's just fantastic. I love him. All the actors were very, very good. There were certain phrases throughout the film. By the end, you're like, oh, okay, that's what she was referring to as the man downstairs, and that's what he's saying is the man downstairs. There's a lot of overlap. Let me put it that way. Osgood Perkins, of course, Anthony Perkins' son, the director, said he did draw one thing from real life into this movie, and I found it so fascinating. There is a life-size doll component to this movie. There's so many different components to the movie, but that was a big one. And Oz Perkins was saying that part of the inspiration was, this is terrible and it's morbidly fascinating, let's put it that way. The Jean Benet murder, which we are all very, very familiar with, I am sure. They found, they had purchased, the parents of Jean Benet had purchased a life-size doll of her, a replica of Jean Benet herself, and it was in the basement ready for Christmas, and it was found not 15 feet from Jean Benet's body, and Oz just always perseverated on that one fact, and he certainly drew influence from that super macabre detail, which I found very, very fascinating. That was just kind of struck a chord with me. Let's see, were there any other particular things that I wanted to mention? Kieran Shipka's in it, and she's like a survivor, and it's okay. I just found it kind of unnecessary. I wish I knew going in that it had a supernatural component to it, because I would have just like let everything go on more of a level and just been like, let me just like hear the story out and then make my decision. So anyway, my brain is trying to make sense in a realism way about certain things, and it's like, what? Okay. For us horror movie fans, I don't know, maybe you aren't like me, but when you watch this, there are certain moments from certain movies, I think you'll be like, oh, this reminds me of this reminds me of this, you know what I mean? Including, I would say, Nosferatu, Phantasm, as far as a little silver ball of a conduit, Bone Tomahawk, as far as makeup and wardrobe, Pennywise, of course, throw him in there. Pan's Labyrinth, he makes this, Nick Cage does this one gesticulation that I'm like, oh my God, it's Pan's Labyrinth. It's great. And I think of that because he's probably alluding to his mother about, like I said, a couple certain phrases and things that he does. And it's like, wow, that would be creepy if your mother did that. She probably had a gin and tonic in one hand and she was Nick Cage's mother. I'm sure she was a little emphatic and dramatic. I would love to see that. Of course, you've heard about Nick Cage's character in the movie can be described as a cross between the Joker, and they'll throw other people in there as well. Yeah, I agree with all that. I actually want to see this one again because I'm just going to suspend my brain and just go with the story for a little bit more. Blair Underwood, it was great to see. They do at first, second, and third act. They probably shouldn't even break up a movie like that because people can make a definitive decision on how they feel with the third act. And I feel a certain way, both ways about how it all went down, but they tried to tie it all together, and I do appreciate that. And yes, I recommend the movie. Enjoy seeing it. And I hope you enjoy seeing some other movies. I enjoy seeing the trailers. I'm looking forward to Heretic with Hugh Grant. That looks good. That looks good. But I say that about everything. And I don't know. It depends on the day. I try to keep my expectations realistic because at this point, each movie will have certain allusions or references to other movies, at least in the individual seer's perspective. And I try not to let that color how I feel about things, but as an overthinker, that's what we do. Okay, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Great review, Grim. All kinds of awesome sauce. I keep hearing mixed reviews about Longlegs. Tina from Chicago didn't care for it too much. And then she didn't want to leave a review because she didn't want to, deter people from seeing it. But that's what this place is all about. Everyone's got their own opinions. You seem to have enjoyed it. She didn't care for it. I'm still very interested in seeing it. Obviously, I'm not going to run out to the theater, but I do plan to view it as soon as I can. But as always, thank you, Grim. Secret Confessions. I have never seen Final Destination or any of the sequels that have come after that. Am I missing out here on something? Can someone convince me to see these movies? Because I kind of see the ads and the posters, and it's just not doing it for me. But tell me I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, and what am I missing? What are your secret horror movie confessions? We want to hear from you.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greeting, Dark Mark and Karis, a Little Mummy. Scary Larry here. Now, I haven't watched anything new this week horror-wise, so I had to contemplate what I want to discuss. I thought about the friendly banter of preferences between originals and remakes. So this week, I came up with a new topic. When sequels are better than the original. Here I'm going to give you a few examples of horror where I thought the sequel or the continuation of the story was better than the original. Now first up we have a weird one called Dead Snow. It's a group of Norwegian medical students who take a trip into the snowy mountains only to be confronted by Nazi zombies awakened after perishing at the end of the war. It's darkly funny and it has some good kills, but cannot hold a candle, in my opinion, to the sequel, Dead Snow, Red vs. Dead. Red vs. Dead picks up immediately where Dead Snow ends, so it's good continuity. Survivor Martin is still being pursued by Nazi zombies, and so he enlists the help of some American zombie enthusiasts, learns the rules of fighting zombies, and leads his own army to fight them. The hilarity is kicked up a couple notches, and the violence is over the top, so I recommend both. Second on my list is 28 Weeks Later. Now, I must say I was personally disappointed with 28 Days Later. I just felt it spent far too much time on the nastiness of the humans towards each other instead of the fast-moving rage virus at the heart of the film. So I was rather reluctant to watch 28 Weeks Later, but eventually I did. I enjoyed the sequel far more than the original, and I'm curious as to the next in the trilogy with the upcoming 28 Years Later. Third, we're going to go back to my teen years. Return of the Living Dead was better than I expected it to be. The theme of my times, acid rain being the death of mankind, and used rather well to spread the virus after they accidentally released the gas by burning the zombies in the crematorium. It was a right blend of humor and horror, and didn't overdo the tropes. Now, I was not impressed at all with Part 2, and for all intents and purposes, I felt it wasn't needed. But oh my god, how I loved the third installment over the first two. In an act of love after his girlfriend is killed in a motorcycle accident, Kurt, who recently discovered his military dad was leading experiments to bring back the dead with the same gas as in the previous films, sneaks into the facility and uses that gas to bring back Julie. As the undead, she craves human flesh and realizes she can distract her desire for it through self-induced pain. How she ends up taking on the military as well as other creatures she inadvertently created was brilliantly done with, dare I say, great acting from a young Melinda Clarke. Lastly, when Art the Clown was given his own standalone movie, Terrifier, I didn't think director Damien Leone could make a better movie, but wow, did he ever. While Terrifier 2 was unusually long for a horror film, clocking in at 2 hours and 18 minutes, is a well-written and thought-out movie plot. The cat and mouse game Art plays throughout the movie with Sienna and her little brother kept things fresh and moving along quickly, and I am very excited for the upcoming third installment in October. I just saw the trailer drop today. Excellent. Well, those are my examples of sequels being better than the original. What are your thoughts, Monster Kids?
Great topic, Larry. And I personally like both 28 movies, but 100% agree with Terrifier, and I'm very much looking forward to Terrifier 3. For me personally, and I would never suggest that Halloween 2, John Carpenter's Halloween 2, was better than the original, although I got to see Halloween 2 when it came out in the theater, and I remember thinking it was terrifying. I mean, forget the shady brother-sister plot, but in general, his brute force that just kept moving forward, I found almost far creepier than the original, and I love Halloween 2. Not putting it over the first, but loved it when I saw it in theaters. So, just a reminder to you monster kids out there, if you are fans of the theater of the mind and scary, suspenseful, spooky stories, please check out my other page, Terror, where I have written, directed, produced, and scored new old-time radio shows. Until next time, stay on the road, keep clear of the moors, and beware the moon. But most of all, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon. This is a Macabre Theater production.
Oh, Lordy frickin' God!